Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Jacob Kaufman. I'm into the street, and today I am talking about what Apple just said a few minutes ago at WWDC 2014. So every year, Apple holds their Worldwide Developer Conference, and this morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which was noon here, Apple held their keynote describing announcing all of the new things that are coming this fall. And I am very, very excited about some of the stuff, but, some of it I couldn't care less about, such as the new version of macOS. I'm not sure if it's macOS 10.10. Obviously, it's not 11 yet, because they would have said something if it was macOS 11. It's macOS 10.10. Ignore the fact that that's the same as 10.1, because Apple doesn't need to respect numbers anymore. The new version is called Yosemite. All right, I'm pronouncing things correctly now. macOS 10 Yosemite is the new version of macOS, and if you basically think about the differences between iOS 6 and iOS 7, those are basically the same things you're going to notice in macOS 10 Yosemite. You're going to have a very flat theme, not a lot of 3D stuff like you used to have. There's going to be a whole lot of transparency. Everything you do is transparent. When you're in like your web browser and you're at a website and you scroll down, then whatever is traveling up on the page is going to be behind your title bar for some reason. And you're going to either love this or hate it, or maybe you won't notice it. I don't know. It's not really a black and white thing. But yeah, basically, if you like all of the new styles that have come to iOS 7, you'll probably like macOS 10 Yosemite. If you don't like iOS 7, like I think that it's a bit cluttered, I think it looks very toyish, you're probably not going to like macOS 10 Yosemite very much. There were some new features, other than just the graphics that were redesigned. You've got some new typefaces and things that are used in the menu bar, and you've got, basically new icons designed for Apple apps. Obviously, every app developer is going to have to go and redo their icons now, which sucks. But there's something, I don't remember if it was called consistency. No, that wasn't it. There's some new feature that they were flaunting that I don't remember what the name of it was, but it's actually very interesting. Basically, you can now start doing a task on your Mac, and you can pick that task up on your iPhone or your iPad, or vice versa. You could be, let's say you're typing out an email on your iPhone on your way, walking home from the bus stop, and then you get home, and then you're like, you know what? The iPhone keyboard is small, my Mac keyboard is nice, I want to use my Mac keyboard. You can go up to your Mac, and you won't even have to, you won't have to save it as a draft or anything. Your Mac in the dock, which is no longer 3D, by the way, because 3D is apparently not Apple style anymore. So you go up to your Mac OS 10.4 style dock, and there is an icon all the way to the left that is the mail icon. You click on that, and it automatically knew, because you had linked your iPhone with your iCloud account and your Mac with your iCloud account, it automatically knew you were writing an email. And you can click that, it will automatically pull whatever you were writing from your iPhone onto your Mac. You don't have to copy paste, you don't have to do any of that. And I think that this is a very great feature. Another example would be if you are on your Mac looking at a website, let's say you're reading a long review, you get about halfway through, and then, it's time to go. It's time to leave. You need to grab your iDevice and head out. So you can leave that page open on your Mac, pick up your iPad, and your iPad is going to know what page you were looking at. So on your lock screen at the bottom left, there will be a small icon, and if you swipe up from that icon, you can start reading right from where you left off on your Mac, the same website. Now, this is very, very convenient. I could see how this could be so convenient, because I know, a lot. I have to go into Firefox or Chrome or whatever browser I'm using, and I have to go to tabs open on other devices, and then I have to open the tab on that device. And instead of having to do that, you can just swipe up from your lock screen. So that's a really cool thing. It does mean that Apple is constantly monitoring what you're doing all the time. So, there's that to worry about. Honestly, Apple seems like a privacy-oriented company. Until very recently, they've been a smaller company. Until the iPad, Apple was small. Until the iPhone, they were even smaller. And Apple's growing in size right now because the mobile world is where we're at right now. And Apple specializes in mobile devices. But yeah, if you're writing an email, Apple knows what you're doing. Apple knows that you're writing an email. If you're reading a website, Apple knows what website you're reading. However, just like with Firefox and Chrome that have features that offer similar functionality, I'm sure Apple will have a way to turn these features off if you don't want them. But if you do, yeah, I think that's really cool. Definitely something you'd see in a futuristic movie. Another thing that you can do between devices is actually answer text messages on your Mac or on your iPad if you receive them on your iPhone. Now, for this, you need to have an iPhone. Obviously, I couldn't get a Mac and have my Android phone work with this. But, iOS devices have iMessage. And iMessage works on all platforms, but until now, SMS text messaging has only worked on the iPhone. Now, iPhone can take your SMS conversation, plug it into iMessage, and sync through iMessage to your other devices, to your Mac, to your iPad. So if you're sitting on your Mac video editing, doing real work, then you will get a notification at the top right of your screen. Someone just texted you, and you can respond right there. And that's a really cool thing as well. I've got similar functionality through an app called AirDroid that I've got installed on my Android phone, but I actually have to go to the website and check for new text messages. It will not integrate into the operating system I'm using like Apple's version will. So that is very neat. You can also answer phone calls. So if someone's calling your iPhone, and it doesn't matter, your iPhone could be in your pocket, your iPhone could be on your desk, your iPhone could be plugged in your bedroom. But if you're on your Mac and it's synced with the same iCloud account, someone's calling your iPhone, you can pick up on your Mac and use your Mac as a speakerphone. Once again, really cool, something you would see in a futuristic movie. Apple did change Spotlight some. Now, when you click on the Spotlight button in the toolbar, a bar in the middle of your screen appears where you can type into Spotlight. And you can just click on the Spotlight button in the toolbar and start typing. Your mouse cursor will automatically be captured to the Spotlight box in the middle of your screen. But they say that's so that the box can be bigger. Because, if you click on the Spotlight button in your toolbar, then the Spotlight box that pops up can't be much bigger than the toolbar itself, or else it would look silly. If they do it in the middle of your screen, they can have a nice big Spotlight box open up. However, that's going to mean that if you want to click on something, then you will have to move your mouse cursor all the way from the top right of your screen all the way down to the middle of your screen, rather than just having it right next to where you just clicked on. This is kind of like how Google Chrome recently changed their new tab page so that there is a big Google search box in the middle of the page. So you go and click on that, you start typing, and then whatever you're typing doesn't appear in that box. It appears in the box at the top of your screen. It seems like a very roundabout way of doing things. I expect that Apple will get rid of the button in the toolbar completely at some point and just make it a key combination, because that would be just as convenient as an arbitrary button at this point. So I'm sure there are more things that were new in macOS, but those were the main things that I noticed. Some new things in iOS. iOS 8 is coming out this fall, and lots of new Safari features integrated with the new Safari for Mac features, which have to do with, being able to pick up your bookmarks and stuff, pick up the pages you're reading in real time. There's a new bookmark sidebar, which is nice to see Apple integrating sidebars into their tablet interface, because I do like utilizing that screen space. You've got, new sidebar where you can keep track of your bookmarks, your reading list, if you still use that, and whatever else. If you're on the iPad, there is a new tab overview that you can see, where instead of just being like a sort of like stacked view of your tabs like you've got in the iPhone, if you're on the iPad, you can actually see like full-on thumbnails of all the tabs you have open, so that's nice. Another new feature of iOS 8 would be whenever you're in your multitasking area, when you double-click the home button, in addition to seeing the apps in the middle of the screen, you've noticed probably in iOS 7 there's a lot of blank space at the bottom and the top. Apple's taking care of that. You will now see common contacts, the contacts that you talk to the most or that you've got active conversations going on with, above all of the apps that you've got open. So that's nice. You can easily get to all your favorite contacts just in that multitasking menu. There are also some new photos features, just new lenses. You can easily adjust things like brightness and color quality without having to go in and adjust, brightness, contrast, black level, white level, shadow, whatever. Like, you don't have to go into all the technical settings. You can just turn up a general setting for brightness, and you can turn up or down a general setting for color, and Apple's photo app will automatically scan your image and adjust those settings for you based on what you're wanting. Now on to some stuff that I think is a bit cooler than all of that. Back to things we'd see in futuristic movies. There are two new kits. I'm sure there might have been more actually, but the two that I remember are HealthKit and HomeKit. And those are both APIs for, or at least things that other apps can plug into that centralize things on your iPhone. And right now, one of the things that I dislike about iOS is that you've got a lot of different apps and they're all kind of fragmented. Like you can download multiple apps that do the same thing and they won't be able to talk to each other. HealthKit deals with that. Let's say that you've got an app you use to monitor your blood pressure. You've got another app that you use to monitor, I don't know, like if you've got like a dieting app. So those apps can all now contribute to a common repository called the HealthKit. And Apple, I believe, is making a new stock app come with iOS called Health. And you can look at all of your info at one place. You can look at your diet information. You can look at how much sleep you're getting. You can look at any measurements you're taking, such as heart rate, blood pressure, whatever, pretty much any medical stuff. And then Apple is partnering with some specific hospital providers. That's how Apple always does things. They choose specific providers. They did it with AT&T. That was the only cell provider for a while. So now they're going to have just a few hospital providers. But eventually there will be more hospitals and clinics, I'm sure. I think it's a clinic they call themselves, not a hospital. But basically Apple not demoed, that would be horrible, but they advertised a feature where if you choose to share your information, which is something that you should think about before you do, if you choose to share your health information with your clinic or your doctor that you see, then if let's say you've got blood pressure problems, so your blood pressure gets to a dangerously high point, your iPhone can automatically notify your doctor of that, and your doctor can dispatch medical help. Or obviously they say your doctor's doing it. Your doctor's probably doing something more important at the moment. But some secretary somewhere is going to see, patient number 123's heart rate is too high. Heart rate. Patient number 123's blood pressure is too high. Let's get an ambulance out to them. Not necessarily an ambulance, but proactive healthcare. And that is something I've seen in science fiction shows and things in the past. I'm excited that we're getting to that point. Once again, it's going to be a huge security problem. You're going to have to watch who's getting your health information. But, it's inevitable. If Apple wants us to start sharing this information with our doctors, then sooner or later, we're going to be, no matter what platform we're using. Something that I am more excited about for myself, HomeKit. And obviously, I don't have a home right now. I'm standing in a basement. But there are a lot of really cool automated appliances right now. Such as light bulbs that you can turn on and off with your iPhone, garage doors that you can open and close with your iPhone, thermostats you can adjust with your iPhone, a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of smart appliances, and the Internet of Things, that's what we call it. And while I am not a huge fan of having everything being able to be monitored, what time I'm going to bed and like with my garage door, I don't like having all that connected to a central repository, but I'm unusual. Most people don't care. So let's say that you've got a lot of smart appliances. The reason right now why smart appliances are not selling a whole lot is because even though one company making light bulbs might make an app so you can control their light bulbs, and another company making garage door openers can make an app so you can open your garage door with your iPhone, you have separate apps for everything. You don't want to be in the kitchen and then have to alternate between your microwave app and your toaster oven app. You don't want to have to worry about that. You want everything to be controllable in the same app. You want light switches. You want a garage door. You want everything in the same place. And that's what HomeKit does. HomeKit is going to provide a central location where you will install the light bulb app still, and you will still install a separate garage door opener app. But then those two apps can communicate with HomeKit. So you can have everything controlled in one app, have easy controls, turn on my lights and open my garage door at the same time. And if you want, you can even program in smart actions with Siri. You can tell Siri, get ready for bed, and it will automatically make sure your garage door is closed, make sure your front door is locked, dim your lights. That is really cool. You can just tell Siri, all right, good morning, and Siri can automatically turn on all the lights and start making your coffee for you. Obviously you're going to have to get smart appliances to do all of this. It won't work with your existing non-smart appliances, but it's still really, really cool what they're doing, where we can go with all of this as a society. Now you might be wondering about how apps integrate with those kits, how they communicate. Apple, one of the reasons that you don't have to worry about malware on iOS is because in the past, Apple has always sandboxed apps very well. Apps can get to their own data. They cannot get to any other data. Part of the downside of that is you don't have a file system. If you've ever had Android phones and you plug them in, you've got your entire Android file system. You can get to all your files, and you can open the same files in multiple apps. Whereas in iOS devices, there's no file system. You go into an app to open things. There is not just like a file browser app installed. There's no Finder on your iPhone. At least there hasn't been in the past. Apple is not giving you full access to the file system because that would mean that you could potentially screw up system files. But what they are doing is doing something new called extensions. And what that allows you to do is have multiple apps interacting with each other. An app can request information from another app, and if you give it permission to do that, then the other app can send information back to the first app. Some examples they gave of this were, you've got your sharing options right now built into iOS, your Facebook and Twitter sharing, but things like Pinterest and things that don't come with iOS, you can add third-party sharing options into iOS via extensions. Another example that I am excited about is notification center widgets. Yes, because we all know you cannot have widgets on your home screen in iOS, but you've got a notification center. You don't just want to look at your stocks all the time. You might want to see some information from, I don't know, like they use Sports Center as an example, but obviously I don't care about sports. I'm trying to think of how I could use a widget. I'm sure they'll come up with some widget that I can use. I can't think of one right now. But yeah, very, very cool that you have extensions allowing apps to kind of breach those sandboxes that they're in. I'm guessing this is going to be a security problem at some point or another, but I'm sure Apple is still screening all of their apps very, very well, just like they do right now. So you should still be able to install apps without having to worry about malware, just like you've always been able to. Now, normally Apple breaks up their presentation into two sections, the Mac section and the iOS section. Today, they had a third section that was just for developers. The biggest thing that they announced during their developer section was a new programming language that you are going to use, or that developers are going to use, to develop Mac apps and iOS apps. And in the past, both iOS apps and Mac apps have been coded using Objective-C. And Apple said that they like the object-oriented style of programming, but they don't like all of the baggage that comes with C. And I've had limited experience programming in C, and I understand some of that baggage. There's a lot of code in the C language that you're going to end up repeating over and over and over. And it's just kind of like, all right, you have to memorize this. I know it's the same in every application, but you have to memorize it or your app won't work. So what Apple's done is it's taken Objective-C and it's kind of shrinked it down to a more manageable language, and they're calling it Swift. Once again, this is going to be for both Mac apps and iOS apps, and it's pretty big. I am not going to go into details because it's kind of hard to portray programming details to a camera, but yeah, it's going to make it a lot easier to develop for the Apple platforms, and I'm excited about that. I might, see what's up with Xcode, new version of Xcode coming out to support Swift, and there's going to be something called Playground, which is a real-time sort of viewer for apps you're making. You can see what you're programming in real time with Playground, and that's cool. Some stuff that they added to iOS, a new thing called Metal is going to replace OpenGL as the interface between apps and the A7 processor. Apple decided that OpenGL was a bit too baggy, so they're replacing it with a much lighter overhead, or it's got much less overhead than OpenGL. Yeah, they're calling it Metal once again. And it lets apps use the A7 processor's features. I don't know the engineering details of how that works, but basically, yeah, you're going to get better gaming performance. Be happy with it. I believe in iOS 7, Apple introduced something called Sprite Kit, and Sprite Kit allowed you to have 2D objects for casual gaming, and programmers could create 2D objects very easily. And now something called Scene Kit is going to allow you to make those 2D objects 3D to an extent. It's still going to be casual gaming, but basically the way I saw it in the presentation was it looked like you were using 3D sprites. rather than actually going all out with something like Metal and programming an actual 3D video game. You could use sprites to make a semi 3D video game for iOS. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, a lot of what Apple announced today was geared toward developers, and I think that's pretty good. I think it's interesting. In Apple's past, it has been known to market all of their products towards idiots, towards people who don't know how to use computers. And I myself have said, people using Macs are not necessarily idiots. Maybe they just want a better experience. And I think Apple's starting to defend themselves there too. Apple has stopped marketing just towards people who don't know how to use computers, and now Apple is marketing towards developers. They had a very, very nice video at the beginning of their presentation this morning that was a lot of people talking about how apps have affected them, their personal lives. And yeah, app developers are very, very important in Apple's ecosystem because at this point, Apple is doing nothing themselves. Think about it. The last big thing that Apple did was the iPad. And I'm not trying to diminish the iPad. The iPad was a revolutionary thing. But the way I see it, Apple is out of ideas. Think about what new things we've seen since the iPad. We've seen newer versions of iOS that have done little more than add better performance and new themes. And better performance is something we expect no matter what. And new themes is something that is going to give you the impression of something new, but it's not really anything new. Just like the new version of macOS has all of the new interface stuff, the new UI, they called it. But the UI is just a UI. It doesn't actually add any features. And there were some features, like, in Mail in iOS, you can now swipe down a draft. So instead of saving something as a draft, you can just swipe it down and automatically have your draft kind of stored easily. But, those are gimmicky features. Those are individual specific features. Apple has not done anything super huge in either of the releases they made today. I was a bit disappointed, but, I'm kind of hard to please. What do you think? Are you excited for any of these new features? If you are, feel free to let us know at the Nerd on the Street forums at nerdonthestreet.com or in the video comments down below. Just in case you were wondering, this is not our normal recording setup. Obviously, it's not our normal recording setup, but this will not be the recording setup. This is just the recording setup until my desk over there is set up properly to record. So I'll let you know when that happens. But for now, I'm Jacob Kaufman. I'm Nerd on the Street, and I will see you guys later. See ya.